What up, boxing fans, boxing family across the world, man? What's been going on with y'all? Y'all already know what it is, man. It's True Grit Boxing News. Checking in with another video, man. As I always say, I love all of the support that you guys been giving me. Continue to support me on this grind as I bring you this news on a daily basis. Smash that like button for me. If you ain't subscribed already, hit that subscribe button and continue to tune in, man. Oh, turn your notification bell to all so that every time I drop, you'll be the first to know, man. And tune in, man, because we're going to give you the real, the raw, the uncut. We bringing nothing but straight facts from a true grit boxing news perspective, man. So, hottest topic, man, which this has been the hottest topic for the last month and a half, all summer. This topic is just, man, that topic in the sport of boxing. And that topic is Gervonta Tank Davis versus Shakur Stevenson, man. And we just got to go with the facts, y'all. I know it's a lot of Tank fans out there. Sometimes I call y'all Tank sexuals. Y'all be fighting harder than Tank fight in the ring for him, 100%. And I am also a Tank fan. I love Tank. I love what Tank does in the ring, knockout artist. Been to see Tank live, which is something a lot of y'all can't even say that y'all have done. I've been to a Tank fight. I saw him fight Hector Garcia, right? I follow the sport. I go to boxing events, right? I fuck with Tank. Tank is a beast, right? So this isn't no biased commentary. Like I said, we just gonna speak the facts though. Just as well, I like Shakur as well. I think Shakur is a phenomenal great young fighter, and he's got great things ahead of him. He's already accomplished great things, and there's more great things to come, right? When it comes to these two fighters, Gervonta Tank Davis and Shakur Stevenson, that is the biggest fight to be made in the lightweight division at 135 pounds, hands down. That is the fight everybody wants to see. That is the biggest fight to be made. Tank and Shakur, period, right? Gervonta Tank Davis is coming off a spectacular knockout win of Frank Martin. Shakur Stevenson is coming off a 12-round decision win against Artem Artemian. Both of these guys are available. It's been hints that they were going to fight in November. Shakur went out from day one, from the jump, letting it be known, I want Tank. Tank is who I want. That is the fight I want to fight next. He called Tank out in the beginning, right? I have not seen Tank say Shakur's name once. Now, we've been seeing his team do a lot of talking. We're going to get into Calvin Ford and Kenny Ellis in a slight second. But I'm watching other boxing channels. I'm watching, fans come on these other channels, and the things that they be saying just is crazy to me, man. Like, the first narrative, right? Oh, Shakur didn't want the fight because he ain't really come out and pursue Gervonta Tank Davis. Wait a minute. Gervonta Tank Davis is his own boss. Gervonta Tank Davis has let it be known, like, you don't send me an offer, we send you an offer, right? So Shakur couldn't have just came and threw an offer at Tank. Y'all run around and call Tank the A-side. He is the A-side. He is the boss. So Tank got to send the damn contract, not Shakur. So that blows my mind when I hear people run with that. Oh, well, Shakur should have made an offer. He can't make an offer. He's not the A-side. Tank don't even take offers from other fighters. He gives the offers. Right? Second narrative. Oh, well, Shakur done signed with Matchroom. So he must really didn't want the fight because now he done signed with DAZN and Eddie Hearn and Matchroom. Wait a minute. False. He did sign with Matchroom and DAZN for a 2-fight deal. But he also, and these are the words that came out of Eddie Hearn, the promoter's mouth himself. Eddie Hearn came out and said, yes, we want to work with Shakur. We have plans on working with Shakur. We are having conversations surrounding Shakur Stevenson. But when it comes to the Gervonta Tank Davis fight alone, I have been given strict instruction that if me and Matchroom and DAZN is going to hinder Shakur from receiving that fight against Gervonta Tank Davis, we are completely out of the discussion, out of any type of negotiation. I'm not doing anything when it comes to Shakur and Tank. We're working on things outside of that. Why did he say that? Because Shakur gave him strict instruction. Because Tank has came out and made it clear that he doesn't really like Eddie Hearn. He doesn't care for Eddie Hearn and the zone and all of that. Although, there was a time that Tank was going to negotiate with Eddie Hearn throughout Conor Benn's name out of nowhere, that he wanted to fight Conor Benn, which is a Matchroom DAZN fighter. He actually started negotiating with DAZN, Matchroom, and Eddie Hearn. So you can't not like him that much because you was willing to work with him. And you even said, Tank even said he's willing to go to Great Britain to make the fight. He's even go to the UK, wherever, to make that fight with Conor Benn under Eddie Hearn, Matchroom, and DAZN. So Tank must be willing to work with them boys, right? If he was willing to do that fight. So Shakur Stevenson gives Eddie Hearn strict instruction. No. Gervonta Tank Davis, if he acts like he doesn't want to work with you, then you're nowhere in it. I don't want anything or anyone getting in the way of me getting the Gervonta Tank Davis fight. Right? More detail into that contract signing. Yes, Shakur does have a 2-fight deal, which he's getting ready to fight former world champion Joe Cordina coming up here in October, next month. Right? Then he's going to try to get a fight also in February, maybe William Zepeda. Okay? If Gervonta Tank Davis if Gervonta came out right now today and said, I want to fight Shakur. Shakur is who I want to fight. In November, I'm sending him a contract. In Shakur's contract with Matchroom and DAZN, that will halt everything they got going on. Because Gervonta Tank Davis is Shakur's first option of a fight. If that fight was presented, that is the fight that Shakur will be taking. That's not the fight Shakur is taking because it has not been presented, guys. Gervonta Tank Davis and his team has not presented a contract to Shakur. So what, y'all just expect Shakur to just sit on his hands? Shakur just supposed to sit and wait on Gervonta Tank Davis forever? Now let's also do a timeline analysis. We know Tank fights twice a year. Normally around April to June is when he fights his first fight. Then he likes to fight his second fight somewhere late October all the way into December, right? Those are normally his 2 times of a year that he fights on, right? It was sporadic that we got that fight with Hector Garcia in January, and that was only because he knew after his fight with Ryan Garcia in April, he was probably going to have to sit down and do some time, and that's what happened. So he still got his 2 fights in. But normally, his fight schedule has always been somewhere spring, summer, then around Halloween to winter. Period. Go back, look at all his fights. That's the time frame that he likes to fight in. So y'all are saying that if Tank has no intentions on fighting Shakur come November, December, and just to throw even more hot sauce on the steak right now, Tank reached out to Eastside Pitbull Cruz. That's the fight that they really wanted. Little do y'all know, and Eastside, we saw what happened to Eastside Pitbull Cruz. He gets dominated by El Rayo Venezuela, right? So that upset that apple cart right there, right? Then we have documentation showing that he then reached out to El Rayo Venezuela to make a fight. But Venezuela is suspended all the way to September 17th. So it kind of crunches the timeline for them to be able to negotiate, get the fight made, promote the fight, and then have the fight by the time November. So the time is messed up now because he's suspended all the way to September. And that's confirmed by El Rayo's team. So that's 2 fighters that Tank actually was discussing something with. But Shakur Stevenson, he has not discussed anything with. So we got to call a spade, guys. Stop trying to defend Tank Davis, who does not want to fight Shakur Stevenson. He just does not. Now, does that mean he's not going to fight him later? Yet to be seen. But he does not want to fight him right now. Because if he did, that is the fight we would be getting. Simple, point blank, plain, and period. Tank is his own boss. Shakur is still a free agent because he's still, when it comes to the Gervonta Tank Davis thing, regardless of him signing with Matchroom, that fight can still be made. That's still first priority for Shakur. 100,000%. He said it. Eddie Hearn said it. It's out there. If Tank come right now today, say, Shakur, let's make a fight happen. Let's start negotiating. All that Joe Cordina should go out the window. I can guarantee you that, because that's his first priority. And Matchroom knows that. He has a 2-fight deal with them. It don't have to be in October and February. It can happen at any moment. There's no time frame, no time limit on it when it comes to Tank. If Tank is not in the discussion, then yeah, Joe Cordina in October, Williams Zepeda in February, and then guess what, y'all? That still don't stop the Tank fight. Because if Tank wants to fight somebody else here in November, whatever, like I said, he ain't going to fight again until about June next year. Shakur fights in February. He can still fight him in June as well. So the Matchroom thing does not stop anything. So anybody running with that narrative trying to say because Shakur signed with Matchroom and DAZN is stopping that fight from happening, no, it's not, because Tank, we had debunked the whole he don't like Eddie Hearn because he was going to negotiate with Eddie Hearn for a kind of being. And also the time frame that's given for Shakur's fights with Matchroom is not going to stop him from fighting Tank at any point in the future. Right? Third reason why Tank don't want this fight. Now let's talk about his team. Calvin Ford, man, and I have put out audio on one of my prior videos when I talked about Gervonta Tank Davis and who he was going to fight next before he ended up fighting Frank Martin. Calvin Ford, on several occasions, we can go back to that video and audio of him blatantly saying, I don't really like that fight for Tank. Shakur is not going to allow us to do what we need to do. Tank needs to get knockouts, this, that, and the third. He basically laid it out on a platter that Shakur got great defense. Shakur is not going to just stand there in front of us and let us get a knockout. He said it, period. Fast forward, shout out to Fanon. He was on Fanon's show. Basically said the same thing. I don't like that fight for Tank. Tank's own trainer is letting y'all know, man, they don't like the fight. They don't like that fight for Tank. Now, is it going to happen? Yeah, more than likely. More than likely. I hope it do. I hope you hope it does too. But his team don't really want that smoke. Now, what does that tell you when your team is saying they don't really think? That lets me know your team ain't got 100% confidence that you're going to be in there and go over there and do what you need to get done. Period. It's just a fact. It's just a fact. Take your emotions out of it, Tank sexuals, Tank fans. Hey, I'm a Tank fan as well, but y'all get too emotional about this man and his decisions when it's right in front of you. It's right in front of you. His own team isn't 100% about him beating Shakur. They're not. They said it. Just take it. I mean, it is what it is. It is what it is. Old saying in boxing, styles make fights. And that can be a horrible style matchup for Tank. Or it couldn't be. I mean, we won't know until the night of the fight happens. That's why we fight the fights, guys. Yeah, we on the outside. Y'all can say whatever. Man, Tank gonna knock Shakur out. People can say, man, Shakur gonna box circles around Tank. We don't know until they get in the ring and we see it live. Point blank, period. There's been too many fights that people go in thinking one way, this is gonna happen, and then this turns out happening. Happens all the time in the sport of boxing, baby. All the time. So you can believe in whatever fighter you want to believe in. But until that night, everybody's on the edge of their seat. Whether you're a Shakur fan or a Tank fan, because nobody knows what's going to happen. Period. That's why we fight the fight. You can say and feel whatever you want. Them boys got to get in the ring and get it on. Period. And it's blatantly obvious that Gervonta Tank Davis does not want that fight. At least not right now. Because if he did, once again, the fight would be getting made. Let's also talk about the fact that people are trying to downplay the Joe Cordina fight. Lets me know a lot of people really don't know much about boxing. Joe Cordina was a world champion, former world champion, and he's coming off a knockout loss, but kind of a technicality with the referee is the reason. Like, to my knowledge, the referee was trying to break him up, and he kind of told Cordina to stop or something, and the opponent hits Cordina, knocks him down or whatever, and then Cordina just never really recovered from that. Cordina was winning the fight. If you take away that moment when the referee was stopping the action and he gets clipped and he gets hurt and he doesn't never recover, then ends up getting stopped, Joe Cordina would not have that loss on his resume. You know what I'm saying? So kind of by default. Now he's coming off that and a former world champion. Now, let me ask y'all, was Frank Martin ever a world champion? Did Frank Martin ever fight for a world championship before he fought Gervonta Tank Davis? The answer to that question would be no, absolutely not. Okay? And Frank Martin, when he fought Tank, was coming off of a bad performance against Artesian, right? Frank Martin was about to lose that fight, okay? If Frank Martin doesn't knock down Artem in the very final round, in the 12th round, Frank Martin was on his route to losing that fight, and it was that close. That 1 point extra for him getting that knockdown is what gave him that decision. And I think it was a split as well. Even still. So Frank Martin was coming off of a bad performance already. Then he gets knocked out by Tank Davis. But then I got people, or I've heard people running around saying, well, why Shakur didn't fight Frank? Well, Frank is arguably coming off 2 bad performances, and he just got knocked out. And he's never been a world champion. Joe Cordina is a former world champion. And Joe Cordina is tough. Like, people just don't understand, man. I don't think a lot of these boxing people really be watching boxing for real. You know, because it's like no way you could say that. But people just want to try to protect Tank. When Tank don't need protecting, he's a grown man and he's his own boss. Y'all need to stick to the facts, man. The man does not want to fight him, and that's blatantly obvious because if he did, he would have reached out. He reached out to Pitbull. Tank did. He reached out to El Rayo. He reached out to Lomachenko. I almost forgot about the Loma thing. He called Lomachenko out. Started negotiating with Lomachenko immediately. Lomachenko wasn't even out the ring yet in his last fight before Tank was already talking about he wanted Loma next. Right? I ain't seen Tank not one time have that same smoke for Shakur. All this time. Before the Olympics, after Olympics, yesterday, 15 minutes ago, and it ain't gonna happen no time coming in the future. Why? Because Tank don't want that fight, man. Y'all need to just swallow it. Just swallow it, okay? Tank don't want that fight right now. Period. We don't know if he gonna ever take the fight. We gotta see if it's ever going to come to fruition and actually be made. I hope it does. I hope y'all hope it does as well. But the fact remains, if Tank wanted Shakur, there's nothing stopping that fight from happening. Before Shakur signed with Matchroom and DAZN, Shakur been available. Been available. Ain't suspended, ain't nothing. Tank ain't suspended, ain't nothing. Shakur Stevenson is the WBC world champion. Waiting on the top dog, Gervonta Tank Davis, to say, you next, boy. You next. Let's get it. November. There was nothing stopping them from fighting in November, guys. Nothing. Nothing. Last week it was rumors talking about, Shakur turned down money offers. No, he didn't. He came out and let it be known, I ain't got no offer from Tank. No offers were made. Y'all need to stop, man. Just stop. Just stop. And just stick to the facts. Stop trying to make up your own narratives and follow the narrative that we're seeing right now. And the narrative is Gervonta Tank Davis don't want that fight right now. Period. Do he want it later? I don't know. His team, they don't like the fight. So is it ever going to happen? I don't know. Floyd Mayweather coming out saying he believes Shakur gonna put on a boxing clinic against Tank. Once again, they have to fight for us to see that. Nobody knows what's going to happen. Just because Tank got knockout power don't mean he's going to knock out Shakur. And just because Shakur is a superb world, one of the greatest boxers in the sport, don't mean he's going to be able to outbox Tank. The fight has to be made, and we got to sit down and watch it to see it. But it ain't on Shakur to make the fight. It's on Tank to make the fight. Y'all want to hold him high, A-side. He sells all the pay-per-views. He's the face of boxing. Okay. Just like Canelo. You cannot send Canelo a contract. Canelo picks who he fights. So does Gervonta Tank Davis. And the fact remains, if he wanted to fight Shakur, that's who we'll be seeing him fighting. That's who we really should have been talking about, the biggest fight in boxing. This fight could have been being promoted right now. Leading up to it, they can go on a world tour like all them other big fights. They can be doing promotions in LA, New York for this big attraction coming up in November. Period. But we ain't getting that because the top dog ain't seeking Shakur right now. Period. So, man, all y'all Tank fans, Tank sexual, just stop it, man. Just stick with the facts. Just stick with the facts. Once you do that, you'll be good, man. You will stop sounding ignorant on these other streams and in these comments. It just be crazy. And please, come in my comments. Like, we can chop it up. We can chop it up for sure. We can do a live stream. I'll let y'all come in here and we can talk about the facts. We can talk about the facts 100%. Because a lot of y'all is just fans. Y'all just fans. You know, y'all dismiss the facts behind everything, you know. So that's my take, man. That's my facts on Gervonta Tank Davis and Shakur Stevenson. Once again, hopefully we get a chance to see that fight. Unification bout, big fight. Hopefully it comes into fruition. But it's on Tank to make it happen. This is True Grit Boxing News, man. Signing out with another video. I appreciate everybody that came in. Listen, man. Comment down below. Let's talk about it. Put your comment out there, man. You feel some type of way about what I said? Let's talk about it. Smash that like button. Subscribe to the channel, man. Support the grind. If you haven't already, turn your notification bell to all so that every time I drop, you'll be the first to know. Peace.